Cessnock Public School has been using the Tell Them From Me survey since 2013, and in 2022 the school introduced the Early Years Evaluation Direct Assessment to support their kindergarten cohorts.
I'm Luke Wilson. I'm the kindergarten to year 2 assistant principal here at Cessnock Public School, and my role is to support our staff in the infants department, as well as take on the preschool to kindergarten transition program. The context of our school is based in an area within the Hunter Valley in New South Wales, and our context is made up of mainly a lower socioeconomic status, where students may not be able to access early education programs or have the knowledge of when they need to start school or be able to engage in that as often as other areas. So our biggest challenge is when they come into kindergarten that they are starting from absolutely nothing and building their capacity. We use the EYEDA to just identify our cohort of kinder students coming in as a whole. It painted us a clearer picture of the students that we were going to be receiving for the following school year, better set us and prepare us for any interventions or supports that need to be in place, including staffing, and making sure any students that may require additional support via external funding or anything else, we're able to access that from day one of kindergarten rather than starting that process either at the start of the year, then that takes half the year, and by the time they're in year 1 before they're getting the support that they should be receiving. The original reports that we get from the EYE is that it actually helped us to structure our classes more efficiently. We could see some of the data that the kids and everything were coming in with, and then we were able to staff our classes accordingly. So, making sure that there was a teacher's aide in both classrooms to provide them the best start possible and give them extra support, and just placing our students a little bit more strategically. We also have, for our Cessnock community of schools, a transition to school assistant principal, and her role is liaising with all of our schools in our Cessnock network and the preschools within our network to help identify students that would definitely benefit from EYE access potentially earlier than other students in our cohort coming, so that their families and that can work together to gain access to some external health interventions and get some of those processes and everything else started prior to them starting kindergarten. I like the fact that the EYE paints the picture of the whole child, not just the academic side of things. We do plenty of academic style of assessments, but how can a child interact with academics if they struggle to hold a pencil or aren't able to communicate what they're wanting to put down on paper or answer you. All of those things come together to help a child achieve their academic success. Yep, so the EYEDA works hand in hand with the department's curriculum. We had identified using our data that there was a massive gap in cognitive ability. I think we had around 22 out of our 30 something students flagging like red in our cognitive. and using the lesson plans, which we unpacked for our kindergarten teachers, and implementing a process where they would use those interventions at least 3 times a week, really helped our teachers implement those processes properly to try and get the biggest difference and growth, whilst working hand in hand with our explicit phonics instruction and our daily numeracy activities and everything else. So, and from that, because we put all those processes in place, we've gone from 22 students flagging in red to 2 students. We saw a massive shift across the board, especially in cognitive and in language and communication. Language and communication is actually probably the one we targeted most because we knew cognitive would be heavily addressed by the curriculum. So by doing the language and communication interventions and lessons from the EYE 100, it allowed us to kind of incorporate them within our curriculum expectations. So it didn't feel like the students were engaging in an additional activity, or teachers were having to program an additional task or anything like that. It all just flows in to work hand in hand with what we need to do on a daily basis. One thing that the EYE did do with flagging us is we were actually able to identify our kinder students that would benefit from having a speech therapist come in, which we organised as a school. They came in and they completed a full speech and language assessment on 10 of our kindergarten students, which therefore allows the parents to get that report, receive external funding to engage in speech therapy, whether we needed to do a further report to the counsellor or anything else. But we did that as a school level because of our language and communication data that was flagged in EYE to help put those supports in place. So to do the pre-assessment, last year we teamed up, myself and the curriculum assistant principal. While he was assessing our students, I was having just a kind of meet and greet interview with our families. They were telling me any information that they might notice about their child, any other things that they might need support with, or anything else, any questions they had about their child starting school, because it's such a massive step in any young person's life starting school. So that interview process, along with that pre-EYE, kind of marries together to really paint a picture of the child coming into school and the family network behind them. So it's just overall strengthen our process as a whole. No, the assessment as a whole is actually really fun and interactive. They don't find it, boring or anything like that. And it actually gets you a chance to interact with the child that's coming in, or when you're doing the post-assessment, you get to spend time with that child and have a bit of fun with doing the actual assessment itself. So it's really nice, especially when you do the post-assessment, and you can just from previously assessing that child, the growth they've made. Prior knowledge of our students is one of them. The opening a communication avenue with the parents is the second one. And the third one, it's setting our classes, our teachers, and even the students up for a more successful start to school. I would 110% recommend the EYE to other schools. I think it's regardless of the context that you may be teaching in. you never know what is going on underneath the surface for a little person, or if their family is aware of things that they might need to access, or just little things that they could do at home. I think it just strengthens a school's ability as a whole to paint a clearer picture of what kind of students they're receiving for kindergarten the following year. Because when they turn up day one, they already know you. They've seen you, they've even done, they've done the EYE with you. They've had those interactions with you. You're a familiar face in a big setting. And I think that's really, really important.